Hey, good evening. We could already say a good Erev Shabbos, everyone. As I should announce before we even start that those who would like to shave tomorrow or take a haircut can do so, since Sunday is Lag BaOmer. There is a chumrah tomorrow to wait till after Chatzais. So it makes no difference, so then do it after 12:56. But if you want to go to a haircut and doing it so late is a problem, so then there's no problem to do it anytime tomorrow. Not tonight, tomorrow. Thank you very much. Perfect. Okay. No, this leave. Okay. We are sponsored.
What's a haircut?
What?
What's a haircut?
we are sponsored. He's still thinking about maybe it'll snow and he could use his snowblower.
Am I still watching it for you?
Yeah, it got stolen and lost more times than you could imagine.
I swear more times than you can imagine because of that.
So anyway, we're sponsored by A.B. Spry and family for long-term nachas. Also by Michal Avram Chavin for everybody's gesund to finish Shas. And we take note that Yisrael Fisher is joining us from Brooklyn, not Tannersville, which is a very big thing. We welcome in over here Aaron Swade and Dr. Guy, Irving Fishbaum, Shelley Zeitlin, Yisrael Fisher, Saba, Mel Zachter, Marshall Castle, and Mark Frankel, Ruvain Pollack, Yitzi Fuchs, Nachman Chapler, Dr. Block, Shimon Klein, Yitzi Muller, Moshe Lehman, Elia Shutman, Naftali Javelin, Yudah from Yerushalayim, Rabbi Kranz. If you remember, we said yesterday that Rebbe felt bad that Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon seemed to have surpassed him in Torah. So Rebbe's father told him very humbly that it's because Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon is a lion, the son of a lion, while you're a lion, the son of a fox. So Rebbe's father, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, referred to himself humbly as a fox. On this, Rebbe said, in praise of his father, V'hainu da'amar, the bottom line of Peidalam Beis, V'hainu da'amar Rebbe, Shloisha an v'senosnin hein. There are three really, really humble people. It takes one to know one, because Rebbe was from the great humble people. Ve'elu hein, Abba, my father, Bnei Beseira, the children of Beseira, the Yonason ben Shaul, and Yonason the son of Shaul. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Adamran, that he called himself a fox. Bnei Beseira, now this was a time when the Bnei Beseira were the Nasi of Klal Yisrael. There came a Pesach where Erev Pesach fell out on Shabbos. And they didn't know the halacha, what to do with the Korban Pesach when Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos. And Hillel came and gave an answer. And they therefore relinquished the position of Nasi to Hillel in a stupendous example of humility. Yes, I did. Yeah. Yes, but we welcome in Abe Arbach now also, who we didn't welcome yet.
You hurt his feelings.
Whose feelings?
Aaron's. Oh, you poor guy.
Now, so the Gemara says, what was the humility of the Bnei Beseira? What was the humility? The Amar Mar Hoishivu B'Rosh. As soon as Hillel knew about what to do with the Korban Pesach when Erev Pesach fell out on Shabbos, they appointed him as head. Uminul Nasi Aleim. And they stepped down with tremendous humility and they appointed him as a Nasi. Yonasan ben Shaul, how do we see that Yonasan, the son of Shaul, was humble? Now, Yonasan ben Shaul was the heir apparent to the throne. The Ka'amalei David, he told David, Va'ato timloich al Yisrael, you should reign over Yisrael, V'ani el yelach l'mishnah, and I'll be your second. So the Gemara says, well, 2 out of the 3, it's not really a proof. Mimai. Dilma Yonasan ben Shaul, he relinquished the throne. The Chazir de Gara Alma Basar David. It was a pragmatic decision because he saw that everybody was following David. But Beseira Nami, the Chazir Hillel David me now. They saw that Hillel knew more Torah than them, so it wouldn't do that they would be the head of the academy and the Nasi, and he would ask them questions and they wouldn't know. El Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, the great Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, to call himself a fact, Vadai Anvesan Havet. He was definitely humble. Now, before we learn the ensuing Gemara, I want to refer to a statement that Irving Fishbaum says often when we have these long Gemaras, and that is, he heard it from me, but still he makes mention of it, that the Gra holds every word is a separate mitzvah saseh. These Gemaras have about 3,000, these Dafim have about 3,000 words. So, you're going home with 3,000 mitzvahs saseh. That's a nice package. That's a nice suitcase to take home with you. It's a good payday. And truth of the matter is Aaron was right. I didn't welcome the Olam here in Shul. So welcome in Ruvain Shannon and Michal Avram, Rich Lenner, Reb Kramer, Reb Avram Rezepkowitz, Berish Gesserman. And I'm waiting for Gedalia to show up. So the Gemara now tells us, Amar Rebbe Chavivin Yisurin, precious is suffering. Kibbal alei, he accepted upon himself Tleiser Shni, suffering of 13 years. Shis B'tzmirta, 6 with stones in the urinary tract. There's a saying that stones are more painful than labor, a woman's labor. And so 6 of the years were stones in the urinary tract, v'sheva b'tzefarna, and 7 with thrush in the mouth. V'imrila, and others say shiva b'tzmirta, 7 with stones in the urinary tract, v'shis b'tzfarna. It's a type of infection of the mouth, very, very, very painful.
Rebbe took this?
So we'll see. We'll see how it happened. Ahurayre Debei Rebbe, the stable captain of Rebbe, have a Osir Mishaver Malka. He was more wealthy than Shavar Malka, the king of Persia. You have to know that the stable master was allowed to keep the manure. And the manure of Rebbe's giant stable made the stable master wealthier than the king of Persia. Now, we'll see that this man tried to cover up the screams of Rebbe when he was going to the bathroom. When he gave the kisisa is an unusual word. Rashi translates it as mispo, fodder. When he gave the fodder to the animals, hava ozil kala, their neighing and braying went bitlosa mile, as far as 3 miles. Have a mechaven derami ba'ishata. He tried to coincide with that time, the Ayel Rebbe Lebeis Akise, when Rebbe went to the bathroom, so that it should block Rebbe's screams. His screams were louder than the braying of the animals. Vishamule, and it could be heard by nechuse yama, by distant sailors. Even so, Yisrei de Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon adife miderebi. The suffering that Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon experienced was more than Rebbe's. The ilu Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon me'ava bo, they came out of love. In other words, he asked for them, and he asked for them only when there was no bittul Torah involved. That's Yisur and Shalava. Or me'ava halachu, and they left from Ava. However, because in the night he took them on, in the morning, he said that they should leave. The Rebbe al Yedei Maisabo, Rebbe's suffering was, as Berish asked, what happened? It came because he showed a lack of mercy on his level. And then when he showed mercy, then it was removed. Al Yedei Maisa Bo Maihi. What does it mean that the suffering came because of a Maisa? Da'u Egla, there was a calf, there was a calf that was being let out to be slaughtered. Azul Talya L'Reishe Bikanfe de Rebbe. So he hit his head in Rebbe's skirts. The kabachi, and the animal was like wailing. Amalei, so Rebbe said, Zil, no, go. This is what you were created for. And that, by the way, that's why eating chicken soup is not considered tzar b'alei chayim. And that's why we don't have such an idea that a Jew should be a vegetarian. Why not? Because you want to have chicken soup, you're gonna slaughter the chicken? And the answer is, it is for that it was created. But in this case, that he wasn't merciful on the animal that was obviously in more agony, it was realized what was ahead of it. Imrei Hoyov Marachem, since you're not a person on your level is not exhibiting mercy, Leisu ala Yisurin, then you should experience suffering. And because of an incident, it left. Yumachad avekakonsha amse de Rebbe Besa. One day, Rebbe's maid, who was a very hush of a person, as we welcome in Eddie Chazan for our 34th Zumah of the evening, '24th, I said 34th. Halavai. Yom Echad, one day, the maidservant of Rebbe was sweeping. Havikakoncha amse de Rebbe Besa. Havashadya b'nei karkushta. She was throwing a family of weasels, v'kakonchalu, and sweeping them away into the garbage. Amallah, so Rebbe said, Shafkinu, leave them be, ksiv v'rachamav al kol ma'isa. Should have mercy on all his creations. Imre, so they said in Shemayim, hoyol u'merachem, now since he's showing compassion, neracham alei, then there should be compassion to him, and the disease left him, as we welcome in Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg. Lamaisa is, if I ever saw children in the bungalow colonies stamping on a bunch of ants, I would tell them that that's not the Torah-dika thing to do. We don't needlessly kill creatures. That's v'racham of al kol ma'asav. Kulu shnei yisurei de Rabbi Elazar. Now these great people did not suffer in vain. Kulu shnei yisurei de Rabbi Elazar. All the years that Rabbi Elazar was suffering, lo shachiv inish b'lo zimnei. Not one person died before his time. Kulu shnei yisurei de Rebbe. All the years of the suffering of Rebbe, 13 years, Like itztrich alma lemitra. The world didn't need rain. That's a remarkable thing. 13 years, the water table rose up from under the ground, moistened the earth, and they didn't need rain. No, it's no umbrella. It's really, really something. No umbrella for 13 years. Dama Rabba Barav Shila, Kashi. Now, what's so bad about rain? So this is very interesting. Dama Rabba Barav Shila, Kashi Yume Dimitra. A day of rain is hard on the world, Kiyuma Dedina, like a day of judgment. Rain is hard on the world. It disrupts travelers. It disrupts peddlers. It disrupts farmers doing their work. V'amar Ameimer said, "Ilav tzarech la'alma." If it wouldn't be needed for the world, Bo Rabbanan Rachmi Alei, the Rabbanan would ask for mercy, Umavatlei, and they would cancel it. It's interesting because I've quoted often how Rav Miller used to say that you shouldn't tell your child, "Oh, it's a rainy day, it's a gloomy day." He says you should train a child how wonderful rain is. He says how refreshing it is. And, the imagery which I've trained myself, that on a day that it rains, it's the single greatest act of chesed that we can imagine. If you saw, I don't know if there are people here that remember soup kitchens, but if you saw a soup kitchen where they're handing out like to 300-400 people a day, hungry people, food, that's a magnificent act of chesed. But when it rains, thousands of thirsty squirrels and hamsters and rabbits and cats and dogs and plants are raising themselves up. Maybe it didn't rain for 25 days, and a lot of these creatures don't really have, they don't have a water fountain around, and they're all getting their necessary drinks. It's a remarkable gadol yom hageshamim. And the Gemara says, afilu hachi, even though it didn't rain, ki avi okra fugla mimishra, when they pulled out a radish from the bed where it's planted, have a kaima bira maya underneath it would be like a full well of water. In other words, the water table rose and made the ground wet. And now the Gemara is going to tell us how Rebbe would go to see what happened to the children of tzaddikim. A lot of times, the children of tzaddikim don't end up to be like their parents. So Ikla Rebbe la Asrei de Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon. Rebbe visited the neighborhood of Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon after Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon passed away. Amalei, and he said, Yesh loy ben la'isa tzaddik. Did he leave over a son? Amalei, so he said, Yesh loy ben. He did leave a son. Fikol zayna sheniskarta b'shnayim. And any zayna that is hired out, if you want her services, you have to pay 2 coins. Sochrasai b'shmayna. Not only didn't she charge him, but he was so beautiful that she was willing, this professional was willing to pay him 4 times as much to sleep with him. So here, Rebbe used the covet card. It's a very great seduction, covet. So, Asya Asmechei Berebbe. What Rebbe did is he made this son of Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon, he made him already a Rav. He gave him smicha. Rav Moshe writes in the Igros Moshe that he gave him conditional smicha. that he's giving him an advance smicha if he follows the following protocol. The Ashlamei, and then Rebbe turned him over for tutelage to Reb Shimon ben Isi ben Lekunya, who was Achos de Imei, who was his uncle. Kol Yuma, have a Amal every day. This was for a man who was a real playboy. This was, shock treatment. So Kol Yuma have a Amal Kiryasa on the Hazel. So every day he said, I want to go back. I'm homesick. I want to go back to my home. Amalei. So Reb Shimon ben Isi ben Lekunya stoked the covet. Chacham of Duyas. They're going to make you a great wise man. Vigulta dedava porsu alach, and they're going to put a golden cloak on you. Virebi karilach, and they're going to call you Rebbe. V'atamrit l'kuriyasa ana ezel, and you want to just go back home and be known as a good for nothing. Amalei. So he said, Mumi. Mumi is a lashon shvua. Mumsa is a shvua in Aramaic. Mumi, I make an oath that azuvada, that I give up the idea of going home. So he actually became a great man. So Kigadal, when he became great, also Yosef Mesifta the Rebbe, he came and he sat in the yeshiva of Rebbe, Shama Lekale, and Rebbe heard his voice. Amar, so he said, Ha Kala Dama Lekale de Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. This voice is reminiscent of the voice of the great Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. Amrulei, so he said, Breyu, I'm his son. Kari Alei, he said about him, Pri Tzadik, the fruit of a righteous person is Eitz Chaim, is a tree of life, because a righteous person lives on through his fruit. Bra Karadavua, a son is an extension of his father. V'loikeach nefashos, and one who purchases souls, that's the Rebbe, he makes souls. Chacham is a wise man. Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim zeh Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. This son's name was Rabbi Yosef. This is Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. V'loikeach nefashos Chacham, and one who buys nefashos. Right? It says about Avram Avinu, es hanefesh asher osu b'charon. So v'loikeach nefashos Chacham zeh Reb Shimon Isi ben Lekunya. Now Rebbe also did this, but first the Gemara says, okay, what happened when Rabbi Yossi passed away? Kinoch nafshe, when Rabbi Yossi passed away, amtul l'marasa davua. They brought him also to the cave where his father and his grandfather was buried. Havahadula achna l'marasa, a snake was barring entry to the burial tomb. Amalei achna, snake, psach picha, open your mouth, v'yikones ben eitzelavim, and let the son go into the father. Loi paschulu, they didn't open up. Kismurim amleimer, the people felt, that's a raish, zeh gadol mizeh, that the father was much bigger than Rabbi Yossi, and that's why he wasn't allowed to enter. Yotze baskal v'amleimer b'nei zeh gadol mizeh. It's not because Rabbi Yossi was lacking. Elazar b'tzar mara, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon was with his father, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, in the cave, and they were there for many years, for 12 years. And he didn't have that, and therefore he wasn't deserving to be buried in the cave. Now Rebbe did the same thing for the son of Reb Tarfon. Well, it's really good to go on this journey with everybody. This is, and it's also something to reflect on. That 2 weeks ago, we were breaking our teeth on ribbis. And, now we're sitting back and we're learning fascinating Agadata. And that's the way it is with Shas. That's the way it is with Shas. You have to struggle through the hard times, and then there's a lot of very geschmacka times. And you need to stick through both. Ikla Rebbe la'asrid Reb Tarfon. Rebbe visited the locality of Reb Tarfon. Amalahu, and he said, Yesh lo ben lo isa tzaddik. Did this righteous man leave a son? He said there is a svara to say maybe he didn't, because Reb Tarfon used to swear by the life of his children. Now, even though of course he never lied, but the mere habit could cause harm to his children. If he did things that could cut down his children. So Amrullah, they said truthfully, Ben Einloi. He didn't leave a son, but Ben Bas Yeshloi. But his daughter had a son, so he has a grandson, and again he was extremely handsome. The kol zayna sheniskarta b'shnayim, any real beautiful zayna that was hired for 2 coins, so she would hire him for 8. Asiyul lekamei, so they brought Rav Tarfon's grandson to him. Amalei, and Rabbi told him, Ihadrisbach. So, different people, you have to use different cards. So with him, he assessed that the covered card might not work. So what did he say? Ihadrisbach, if you do tshuva, yohivnalach bratoy. I'll give you my daughter. Whoa. Shit, you know what that means? To shidduch with the house of the Nasi, with the great Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Hoderbei. Hitaka retracted. Ikeda Amrei Nosva V'girsha. Some say he married her, but they got divorced. Ikeda Amrei Loi Nosva Klal. He didn't marry her at all because he didn't want people to say that he only did tshuva for a woman. Kedei shelo yomer b'shvil zeh chazazeh. Says V'lama lekulahai. Why did Rebbe go to great lengths to bring these people back? The Amar Rabbi Yehuda Rav, for Rabbi Yehuda said name Rav Imel Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. V'Imel Rabbi Shmuel ben Achmeini Amar Rabbi Yonasan Rabbi Shmuel ben Achmeini said name Rabbi Yonasan. Kol HaMalamed es ben Chaveiroi Torah. Whoever teaches the son of his friend Torah, Zoicha v'Yoshev b'Yeshiva Shomal. That's such a great deed that will merit to sit in the yeshiva of heaven. Shinema im toshuv, if you cause them to return, va'ashivcha, I will return you lefonai tamid. Before me, before Hashem, you will stand. The kol hamalamed has been amoretz Torah, and whoever teaches the son of an ignoramus Torah, afilu HaKadosh Baruch Hu goizer gezeira, even if Hashem makes a decree, mevatla b'shvilai, Hashem will cancel it out because of him. Shenem avim toitzi yoker mizaylel. If you produce something precious from something disgraceful, kefi tiyeh, you will be like my mouth. You'll have the koyach to be mevatla gezeres. Amar Parnach, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Here we learn that if somebody has, together with himself, 3 generations of Torah, that Torah will never leave that family. Whoever is a Talmid Chacham, his son is a Talmid Chacham, and his grandson is a Talmid Chacham, Shuv ein Torah Pisekes Mizarai. Torah will never leave his seed. It will not, if it doesn't turn from your mouth, and your children's mouth, from your grandchildren, then Amar Hashem me'atav aroilam. Then it'll be forever. My Amar Hashem, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Aniya orev loch b'davar zeh, and I will guarantee it, that if it's 3 generations, it'll never leave. My mi'atav aroilam. Rabbi Yirmiyah Mekan ve'elach, from then onward, Torah marzeres alachsan yeshula. The Torah returns to its host. A good example of this is my family. My grandfather was mayor. One of my names was gassed in Auschwitz. He was worthy to be a Rav. he gave it over to one of his brothers because his brother didn't have a job, so he gave it over. But he was worthy. He was a Baki B'Shas. His father was a Rav, and his grandfather was a Rav. So that's 3 generations. So here my father comes out of Auschwitz, a double orphan, haven't gone to yeshiva. He goes to a DP camp, then to Berlin to learn the wallet trade. Then he comes through Ellis Island, and he produces a family of all Talmidei Chacham. The odds of that, but the answer is, the Torah is Marzeres L'Achsan Yeshala. That's the guarantee. Rav Yosef, here we see that Rav Yosef did extensive fasting to develop a 3-generation chazaka. Rav Yosef Arbon Tanisa, he fasted 40 years, 40 fasts, not 40 years, 40 fasts, that he should be himself considered that the Torah didn't budge from him. Didn't move from your mouth. Yosef Arbon Tanisa Achriti, and he was zeicha to raise children that way. Now, grandchildren needs a lot more tefillah, because grandchildren you don't really have a direct hand on. So Yosef Meir Tanisa Achrita, he fasted another 100 Tanesim. It doesn't even budge from your grandchildren. Oh, Amar Mikan Ve'elach Lo Tzirichna. I don't need to fast anymore. Because Torah Marzeres Al Achsan Yeshala. Now we have a chazaka that the Torah will always return. Reb Zera, when you think that this daf is very big, just keep on thinking. Every word is a matzah. Every word is an afikomen. Now you'll say, come on, every word's an afikomen, every word's a shayfer? No, it's more than that. Because it says Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. So every word is more than a shayfer. Every word is more than a matzah. This is a veritable Seder Shel Pesach over here. Even so, Rabbi say, even though the daf is so big, we are planning to do a chok after the daf. We are planning. That's the plan. I mean, if Michal Avram will have the strength to bring the green screen after this, but Jay Siegel is joining us, Nachum Rosenman is joining us, Richard Rosenzweig is joining us, David Helfgott is joining us. Great to have everybody. Reb Zera Kisalak La'ard Yisrael, when Reb Zera went up there, so now here, when you start learning Talmud Yerushalmi, Talmud Bavli could cause you to get mixed up. So Reb Zera Kisalak La'ard Yisrael, Yosef Meir Tanisa, he sat 100 fasts, that he should forget the Babylonian Talmud, that it shouldn't confuse him. Then Yosef Meir Achanisa, you got to hear this. In his time, Rabbi Lazar took care of the communal things. So Reb Zera prayed that Rabbi Lazar shouldn't die in his lifetime, so that the needs of community shouldn't fall on him. So he fasted another 100 Tanesim, the Loi Lishkev Rabbi Lazar B'Shnei, V'naflan Ilve, and fall on him Mila di Tzibura. And yet, V'Yosef Meir Achrina, he fasted another 100 fasts, the Loi Nishlat Beinura de Gehenim, that the fire of Gehenim, he should be perfectly righteous, and the fire of Gehenim shouldn't affect him. Now, he did a test. Kol Tlos in Yume, every 30 days, have a Bodik Nafshe. He wanted to check if he was, so to speak, invincible to fire. Shagar Tanura, he stoked the oven, Salak v'yasa begavei, and he entered inside it. V'loyav sholta bein nura, and the fire taka didn't do anything. Yom echad, one day, Yavur bei Rabbanan Eina, the Rabbanan looked at him enviously and gave him an ayin hara. V'ichrechu shakeh, and when he went in, his thighs got scorched. V'karolei, and they then called him Cotton. He was physically short. Cotton charach shakeh. He was the short one with scorched thighs. Rav Yehuda says the name Rav. My dechsiv mi oisha chacham. Who is a man who is wise, v'yavein esais, and understands this thing, v'asher diber pi Hashem elav, and who Hashem speaks to him, v'yagida, and who could tell us. In other words, what this is saying is, who is a wise man and understands this perplexing question, or even who is a Navi who could tell us an answer? And that is, Alma of the Haaretz. Why was the land destroyed? What was the reason for the destruction of the temple? Davar zeh, this matter, Amru Chachamim, they asked the sages, Mi oisha chacham, v'loi peshua, they didn't have an answer. Amru Nevi'im, they even asked the Nevi'im, right? Asher dibra Hashem elav, people that Hashem spoke to, v'loi pirshu. Ad shepirshu HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzma, until Hashem gave an answer. Shenemar v'yomer Hashem ala zvom es toirasi, that they forsook my Torah asher nasati lifneim, that I gave before them. Now, in reality, the door of the temple, there was a lot of Torah. When it says they forsook my Torah, so the Gemara elaborates, Amar Rav Yehuda Amarav shaloi berchu b'Torah tchila. They didn't make the proper bracha on the Torah, which means that they learned Torah, but they didn't do it with the thought that they were doing the will of Hashem. In other words, they learned Torah. It was an intellectual exercise, and they were very into Hashem's doing the Torah. But they were very into Hashem's Torah. But it has to be la'asos nachas ruach liyotzreinu. On their level, the asher kitshanu b'mitzvayis v'tzivanu. The fact that they, everybody says, "Oh, good, I'm going to finish another Masechta, and I'm broadening my learning, and I'm broadening my understanding." But we're going to actually have. It's so interesting that we're going to learn about it in the Chok tonight, in the Zohar. The Zohar says that when you learn Torah, you have to know that you're giving nachas to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You have to do it because this is what Hashem wants you to do more than anything else. And that's the idea of Birchas HaTorah. We're saying that we do it because Hashem sanctified us and commanded us to do it. Yes. So there was some kind, on their level, there was some kind of lack in the Lishma. Now, Amar Rav Chama, my dechsiv, b'leiv novain tanuach chachma, in a heart of understanding rests wisdom, or b'kerev kesilim, but in the midst of a fool, tivadeya, it will be known. In other words, certain people, they have quietly a lot of wisdom, but people don't know about it. But in the midst of fools, then the Torah will be noticed. So the Gemara explains what this means. B'leiv noven tanuach chachma zeh Talmud Chacham ben Talmud Chacham. This is a Talmud Chacham, the son of Talmud Chacham. So since the whole family are Talmid Chachamim, it doesn't gain great notice. But it would care of Ksilim Tivadeya. Zeh Talmud Chacham ben Am Haaretz. If in a family of ignoramuses, they sit around and they're talking about the whole day, nonsense, the gossip column in the paper and the box scores, in the sports. And all of a sudden, one of the children is, spouting Abaye and Rava, that gets noticed. Amar Ula Hainu Dimre Inche, this is the popular saying, is stira belegina, when you have one coin in the pushka, one coin in the cookie jar, kish kish, it rattles around. If it's full, it doesn't rattle around. Kish kish kaya, makes a noise. Amalei Reb Yirmiyah Reb Zeira, Maidich Siv, Cotton Vigadol Shamhu, a small and big is there. Small and big is there. The Eved Chavshim Adainav, and the servant is free from its master. So the Gemara says, you're talking about in the next world. So what's the chiddush? Everybody knows that the small and big are there. Small and big are in the grave. We know that everybody goes to the grave. So what does it mean? Atula Yadina the cotton v'gadol shamhu. Don't we know that everybody goes to the grave? Ela kol maktin atzmai al divrei Torah ba'olam hazeh. Whoever minimizes their Torah prowess in this world, nasa gadol la'olam haba, is great in the next world. So the Anova is the Tiferes of the Midas. So in yeshiva they used to say that if you think that you have some Torah knowledge, then just open up a Stei Chemed. You see, it's a sefer full of abbreviations. You don't even know what the abbreviations mean, and it's brought down from all over, everywhere. And it right away humbles you. You think you know something. So, but whoever makes himself humble in this world, Nasa Gadol Olam Haba, becomes great in the next world. The Kol HaMeisim Atzmai Eved Al Divrei Torah Ba'olam Hazeh, and whoever makes himself like a servant to Torah in this world, in other words, he puts himself in the Torah's employ, Nasa Chavshi L'Olam Haba, he'll be free in Olam Haba. There won't be any restrictions in the next world. He'll be, he'll have free reign in the next world. So it's not easy to come out in the night after a full day and learn, a Gemara with 3,000 words, and then to sit down and learn a chok with 8 disciplines, right? That's not easy. But the rewards are remarkable. Now we move on to a new topic. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Reish Lakish have a mitzayin marosa d'Rabbanan. Reish Lakish would mark off the caves of Rabbanan, the burial crypts. Now this was that Kohanim shouldn't become Tameh, so he would go there and mark it with line, with Sid. Now you'll say, but he should mark any grave. But he first did the graves of the rabbis because he didn't want the great Rabbanim to be guilty of making a Kayin Tameh. Kimatan Lamarta de Rabbi Chia, when he came to the cave of Rabbi Chia, it was hidden from him, as if he wasn't worthy to see it. So Chalish Date, he felt bad. Didn't I engage in Torah Chachma like him? Yes, you engaged in Torah like him, but Torah Kamaisa, but you didn't spread Torah like him. When Rabbi Chanina Reb Chia would argue, Amalei Rabbi Chanina said to Rabbi Chia, you're arguing with me? If Torah would be forgotten from Klal Yisrael, from the strength of my arguments, I would be able to retrieve anything that was forgotten. With my knowledge of Torah arguments, I would be able to retrieve anything that was forgotten. So Reb Chia says, yeah, but because of me, Torah will never be forgotten. Amalei Reb Chia to Reb Chanina, Bahadei Adadi Kamintzas, you're arguing with me, Da'avdei l'Torah d'loi tishkach mi Yisrael. I took steps that Torah will never be forgotten. Maya Vidna. And here, by the way, I just want to give you a heads up over here, that included in this idea is that Reb Chia wanted to make sure that the tutelage of children was free of any dirty money. He didn't want it to be that any Rebbe or anything was paid with dirty money, money that was gotten illegally. So he did as follows. He made everything from the beginning kosher money. Maya Vidna, what did he do? Ozilna v'shadina kisna. He went and he planted flax. V'gadilna nishbe, and he made nets. So he didn't even want to buy nets. He planted flax, made nets, v'tzaydina tave. He hunted deer. Umachilna bisrael liyasme. He fed the meat to Yisayimim, so everything was laced with mitzvahs. V'arichna megilta, and from the hide of the deer, he made scrolls. Ukisavna chamisha chumshei, and he wrote 5 different chumashim, Bereishis, Shmais, Vayikra, Bamidbar, and Devarim. V'salikna lamasna, he went up to this to hamlets. Umakrina chamisha yemuke, he was a great judge of talent, and he found 5 children that would be, these were probably adolescents already, he found them that would be good teachers. He taught each of these prodigies 1 chumash. And he taught 6 other boys shita sidre, one of the 6 siddharim of Shas. One he taught Zram, one he taught Moyed, one he taught at Nashim. And he told them, Vamanulu adda hadrana v'asina, I'm going to visit in a few years. Akre adadi v'asne adadi. I want you to teach each other what you learned. So the one who learned Bereshis taught all the others Bereshis. And the one who learned Shmais taught all the others Shmais. V'avdala l'Torah, in this way he ensured the Torah, the lo tishtakach mi Yisrael. And Hainu the Amar Rebbe, that's what Rebbe said, Kama gedoyle ma'aseh Chia. How great were the actions of Chia. Amalei Rebbe Shmuel Rebbe Yaisi, afilu mimar, is it greater even than you, than Rebbe? Amalei, yes. Then he said, afilu me'abba. Now Rebbe Shmuel Rebbe Yaisi had a special schus that it says that when he argued with the rabbim, the halacha was still like him even against the rabbim. Rabbi Yaisi was a great man. So Amalei, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yaisi says, is Rabbi Chia even greater than my father, Rabbi Yaisi? Feel me, Abba? Amalei, no. Chas v'chalila, like to take Yisrael. No more than your father. You should never say that. Amar Reb Zera, another story about Reb Chia. Amar Reb Zera, I know. Mark, you never want this to end. I see, I know. But that's the way it is. The good things sometimes come to an end, But don't worry, we're going to learn it again in 7.5 years. Don't worry. When we get to Sanhedrin, we'll have 25 blot in a row of Agarata. 25, Perek Chelik is 25 blot in a row.
Ooh, Mark, you're loving it.
Yeah. I'm loving it too. I'm loving it too.
It comes with franks and beans.
And sauerkraut.
Can we do it for my house again?
This time you'll come to me. I'll give you a steak also if you want.
I'll hold you to that one. That's good.
Okay, even for you, Marshall, if you come, I'll even give you lamb chops. The Amr Ebzeh, he's getting on a plane now.
If he comes, I'll come.
Good.
When should I book the flight?
I already spoke to, today I spoke to Yossi Cement, Barry's son, and they don't expect him to be in the hospital long. They expect him to be there maybe 2 days. But what happened is he lost his balance when he was trying to hold on to the walker, and he fell. Yeah. Amar Reb Zeira. Emesh nirali Reb Yossi Reb Chanina. Last night, or yesterday, Reb Yossi Reb Chanina came in my dream. Reb Yossi Reb Chanina already had passed away. Amarti Loi, so I asked him, Eitzel mi ata tekua. Who are you sitting next to in the next world? Amali Eitzel Reb Yochanan, not bad, near Reb Yochanan. Reb Yochanan Eitzel mi, and who is Reb Yochanan sitting next to? Eitzel Reb Yanai. Reb Yanai Eitzel mi, Eitzel Reb Chanina. And Reb Chanina Eitzel mi, Eitzel Reb Chia. So he said, what, Reb Yochanan wasn't worthy to be next to Reb Chia? Amarti Loi Reb Yochanan Eitzel Reb Chia Loi? Amali, so he said, no, Ba'asar de Zikukin de Nenura, in a place where lightning bolts of fire, or Be'urin de Esha, and torches of fire, Man Ma'ayil Bar Nafka, or someone can, Rabbi Yochanan, who was known as Bar Nafka, can he sit there? That's how great Reb Chia was. So now, we're going to hear another story. Am Rav Chaviva, Ishtoyli Rav Chaviva Bar Surmaki. It was related to me by Rav Chaviva Bar Surmaki. Chazalei Ahu Mirabanan, I saw a rabbi, Davishkiach Elio Gabei, that this rabbi, doesn't tell us who he was, but this rabbi had Gilui Eliyahu on a regular basis. And I saw the Litzafra Aveshvirinene, that in the morning his eyes were shining, and in the night it looked like his eyes were burnt by fire. I said to him, my eye, what happened to you? He said to me, I asked Eliyahu, Achvili Rabbanan, could you show me a vision of the rabbis in the next world? Achvili Rabbanan ki solkul mesifta de Rekia. Show me the rabbis when they went up to Shiva Shamala. Amali, so he told me, look, the kulu matzis l'staklu lebu, all of them it's safe to look at. Levar megahurka de Reb Chia, except for the throne of Reb Chia, the loy tistakobe. Don't look at him. So he said, Ma'asim Manayu, how will I know which one is the throne of Reb Chia? So he said, Bekulu azlei malache ki soke v'nachse. When they went up and down in Shemayim, they're accompanied by angels. Levar meguharka de Reb Chia, except for the throne of Reb Chia, he doesn't need the assistance of angels. De menafshe salak v'nachas. So this rabbi said, Loimatzu l'ukma nafshay, I couldn't control myself, and istakleba, I looked at Reb Chia's throne, and when I looked, asu trei butite nenura, 2 bolts of lightning came out, umachyu lahu gavra, and it struck his eyes, v'samyu le'ene, and it blinded his eyes. The Bacher, the next day he went to the grave of Reb Chia, azul ishtache amarte, he threw himself down on Reb Chia's grave. He said, Amina masnisa demar masnina. I need my eyes because I teach the brises of the master, v'tzai, and his eyes were healed. Eliyahu have a shchicha b'mesifta de Rebbe. Eliyahu would visit the Mesifta of Rebbe. Yom echad reish yachav. One day it was Reish Chodesh. Nogalei v'lo yasa. Listen to this. Eliyahu was late. Amalei, when he arrived, so Rebbe said to him, "My time in Nogaleim Lamar. Why was the master late?" So he said, "Amalei adu kimno Avram. I am busy. I help Avram get up. Umashina yedei umatzle, and he washes his hand and he davens, and then umagninole, I put him back into his place. Then v'chein liYitzchak, then v'chein liYaakov." So Rebbe asked him a very pashut question: why didn't he do them all at the same time? V'likminu ba'adei adadei. So Eliyahu said, "Savrei takfu barachmei," that they would overwhelm with mercy. And they would bring the Mashiach before its time. So therefore I don't wake them up all at the same time. So he said, is there any trio like them in this world? Yes, there's Reb Chia and his children. So Gazer Rebbe Tanisa, Rebbe decreed a fast, and Achsinul Rebbe Chia Banav, and he had Reb Chia Banav daven for the Amid. Maybe it was a choir. Amma Mashiv Aruach, they said Mashiv Aruach v'Noshiv Zika, and the wind started blowing. Amma Morid Ageshem v'Asamitra. So then they were going to say Mechayim Eisim. Ki Mata L'Meimah Mechayim Eisim Rogish Alma. There was an earthquake. Imrei Berekia, and they said in Shemayim, Man Goli Razia Ba'alma. Who revealed this secret in the world? Amrei, so they said, Eliyahu. Eliyahu got it. Asil Eliyahu, they brought Eliyahu, Mechiyua Shitin Pulsei Denura. They gave him 60 lashes of fire. Also, so now Eliyahu had to make sure that Reb Chia and his children didn't say Mechayim Eisim because it wasn't the time for the Mashiach yet. So Asa Damalahu Keduba Denura, he appeared like a beer of fire, Ol Beinayu, and he came into the shul Utradinu and dispersed them, and they didn't get a chance to do it, and the time did not happen. All right, Rabbi say, we're going to stop over here. So let's see, it looks like Matzah Shabbos. We have our work cut out for us, right? A very big dafin on Matzah Shabbos. So prepare for a lot of fun on Matzah Shabbos. Unfortunately, the Agadta will end on Matzah Shabbos, but we will have a blot and a half more of Agadta. 10:30 Matzah Shabbos.